Gorilla 7 video series. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to generate a day out of days report. So what is a day out of days report? It is a unique report to film scheduling that tells you what element, usually a cast member, is needed on which day in a simple graph-like interface. Running a day out of days report is as simple as running any report in Gorilla. Select the Quick Preview Print button and select the DOOD button. You can select the category you want the DOOD report for. Let me show you what one looks like. This is a day out of days report for an 18-day shoot. On the left, you will see a list of cast members for the production. In this column, you will see the total days worked. And here, the total days held. And I will explain what a hold means for a cast member in just a minute. The days for the shooting schedule begin here with day 1. The abbreviation SW stands for start work. The next day here, for this cast member, is a W, which stands for work. So these 4 days are all work days. This tells you that Barney is scheduled for the first 5 days of production. Notice here, on the 6th of the month, it is a day off, signified by the gray box. Any day that is an off day is not considered a shoot day. So day 6 of the production lands on Thursday, the 7th of the month. Now here it shows an H. An H stands for hold, which means that Barney is not needed for that day, but according to SAG rules, he must be paid because he is held. The next shoot day, day 7, Barney is back to work, signified by this W. And lastly, day 8, you will see a WF, which stands for work finish. This is the last day the cast member Barney is needed for this production. So, how is a day out of days report even created? You cannot run this report until you have completed your schedule, which includes scheduling your scenes on the stripboard. So let me show you why Barney's schedule on the day out of days report looks like it does. Before I go to the stripboard, notice that Barney's ID is 1. This is important. If I go to the stripboard for this schedule, and I also bring up the day out of days report so I can see them side by side, let's look at the first 5 days. You should know that these numbers on the stripboard are board IDs, which relate to the cast members. How can you tell that? If you select the stripboard print design option from the edit pull-down menu, this is where you can customize the look of your board. Notice that board IDs down here is selected, and it will appear on the board in row B8, which is right here on the strip sample. To make it really clear, I'm going to create a label here in A8 called Board ID. Close the stripboard print design window to go back to the stripboard. And notice that we can now see the label Board IDs for all the cast members. Okay, so now let's take a look at the first 5 days on the stripboard. What we're doing here is looking for Board ID 1, which is Barney. Day 1 has Board ID 1 and 2, which means that Barney and Amanda are needed for this shoot day. On the day out of days report, both cast members Barney and Amanda start work on day 1, which is signified by an SW. Let's look at the second day on the board. 3 scenes are scheduled here. Barney is needed here again on the second shoot day. Let's look at the day out of days report And sure enough, Barney is scheduled for day 2 with a W. And take a look at board ID 3, Luigi. He starts work here on day 3 with an SW. On that same day, day 3, Amanda, board ID 2, is signified with an H for hold, because according to the strip board, she is not needed for any scenes for this shoot day. Moving on to the next 3 shoot days, notice that ID 1 is on the board for all 3 shoot days. Why? Because Barney is in one or more of the scenes that are scheduled on these days. Let's go now to day 6. Barney, again ID 1, is not here. Amanda, ID 2, is. On the day out of days report, notice that ID 1 is held, and Amanda has a W. So, real quick, what is a hold? A hold means that you are holding the cast member and paying them, even though they are not working. According to SAG rules, you can hold an actor for 10 or sometimes 14 days. If they are not needed for 10 days or more, you can drop them and pick them up later on in the schedule. Check with SAG to see what the hold and drop rules are for your particular production. Let me show you now a drop example, here with the cast member, the bellman, ID 17. On the day out of days report, ID 17 has an SWD on day 6. This means that this cast member starts work on this day, but is immediately dropped because there are at least 10 days before the schedule requires him to work again on day 18, signified here with PWF, which stands for Pickup, Work, Finish. To set your hold drop settings, go to the detail record for that element. So let's go to this cast member, the bellman. To do that, select the Elements button on the toolbar of the breakdown sheet screen, and then select the bellman. Notice here that this cast member is needed for these 2 scenes, Scene 16 and Scene 38. The first, scheduled on the 7th, and the second on the 20th, which, as you can see, is more than 10 days apart. Here, on the Detail tab, are the DOOD preferences for this element. And each element has its own settings, except the days held before drop setting, which is a global setting for your production. So what you enter here for allow holds, allow drops, and drop to use only pertains to this cast member. So again, notice that it is shown that if there are 10 consecutive days that this cast member is not needed on the set, that this person can be dropped after the first workday, and then picked up when they are needed 10 or more days later. Looking once again at the report, notice that the bellman starts work on the 7th, then is dropped, and then is picked up here on the 20th, which is the last day of shooting. Another thing to know is that a cast member can only be dropped once during the schedule. So if there are 2 instances of a cast member being dropped, you can select which one to use, the first drop or the second drop, and that is specified here. A couple new features were released with Gorilla 7. You can now export the day out of days report to Excel if you want to manipulate or alter the data. To do this, select this checkbox before running the report. And I'll do this right now. It could take a minute or 2 to run the report, and if you have Microsoft Excel installed on your computer, it will automatically open the file. The file is saved here in the DOOD export folder. With the additions of episodes, you also have the option to select the episode for the day out of days report. I hope this tutorial helped you understand the ins and outs of the day out of days report. That's a wrap. Have a great shoot.